I promised you guys the other day that I would go over the first part of this Alex Jones video where he plays the art of the dealership trying to sell and raffle off this Tesla right here while he can't say enough good things about Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Let me just ask you this before we play this. How much did you have to know about, for example, Barack Obama or Joe Biden to know that you could never, ever support them? On the other end of it, what would they have to say to get you to support them? And that's the same question I have for people who support Elon Musk or Donald Trump. I don't care if it's Alex Jones or Ian Carroll or Ben Shapiro. What would Donald Trump actually have to do or say, and or both, to get you to decouple from them, to withdraw your support from them? What would they have to do? What would they have to say? What policy would they have to set forward? What globalists would they have to be rubbing shoulders with? Because I know for me, all I would have to hear from Obama or Biden or Clinton, just to name some Democrats, Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton, it doesn't matter, is that they wanted to take my guns. And they wanted to initiate force and violence on me and the rest of my fellow Americans because we owned an AK-47 or an AR-15 or high-capacity magazines or didn't want to go through a background check. That's all I would have to know. They couldn't ever say anything to convince me that they would ever be on my side, because if they're going to fudge on that, if they're going to transgress their oath of office on that, then they're going to turn their back on and betray me and my fellow Americans for anything. Same thing with Donald Trump. He's pro red flag gun confiscation law. Tulsi gun grabber Gabbard is the exact same way. Dan red flag law, I patch McCain Crenshaw. There's so many people that are for universal background checks and some kind of limitation on your Second Amendment rights, not to mention all the other stuff, the renewal of the Patriot Act and the land cover for the IRS and the Zio International Banking Cartel and all that. So there's nothing they can do. Besides that, Obama works for the same banking owners that Donald Trump works for, the same ones that Joe Biden worked for and the Clintons and Ronald Reagan. So let's go ahead and play this right here, because I want to show you that all his life, all of his public life, Alex Jones has constantly condemned the globalists. We come against you, globalists. We will eat you for dinner, lunch, and breakfast. And yet he can't say enough good things about globalist, UBI, Universal Basic Income, carbon tax, Neuralink, Musk. Watch this.
As most of you know, there's major changes happening across the planet. There's a major pro-human revolution happening. And one of the biggest reasons that's happening is
pro-transhuman.
People broke the spell from the big corporate woke system, from the BlackRock UN brainwashing system.
I mean, you mean BlackRock that Trump paved the way for to buy 2 major ports in the Panama Canal? That BlackRock, Larry Fink, good friends with Donald Trump, BlackRock?
The neoliberal world order is dead. And that's because humanity started calling them on their bluff and saying, you're not the moral authority. You don't tell us how to think.
The neoliberal world order is dead? What's the proof of this? This guy is going to start acting like a televangelist here. Just watch this.
You don't tell us what to do. You've got it out for us on record. You want to make us a bunch of slaves and cut the carbon and make us eat bugs. And their biggest tool in the past 50 years in the West is attacking companies with wokeism, with political correctness, and boycotting them and shutting them down and going after individuals. And then the last 8-9 years, deplatforming and debanking and lawfare. But despite all that, humanity awoken and said, fuck you. Well, that's why their fight to take down Tesla and to try to take down Elon Musk, Trump's biggest supporter, and supporting freedom all over the world and the pro-populist peaceful revolution taking place in Latin America, Asia, Europe, Africa, all over the place, Eastern Europe. That's why we have to rally behind Elon Musk, because he's fighting for us. When we stand up for the champions.
Elon Musk is fighting for us. Pro-UBI, pro-carbon tax, pro-transhumanism, pro-Neuralink, pro-globalist, push the mRNA CLOT shot is for us.
Who are powerful and smart and strong, fighting for us, we stand up for ourselves. And I know when you hear me say that, you go, well, of course everybody knows that. Yeah, but do you really act on that? Do you understand that it's not a little side issue? It's everything. The left, with their big corporate money and all their stolen trillions of our taxpayer money in America alone, that Doge has proven way worse than we even thought, and I thought it was bad and knew it was bad, is absolutely falling apart right now. And it is because the people woke up, because you got motivated, because you donated and support.
It's such infantile, kindergarten, childish thinking. It's unbelievable that anybody would fall for and support this guy.
Supported Trump because you voted, because you spoke up, because you didn't care about being censored and attacked, and you had the truth on your side. But we've only won a major series of battles, and we are winning the overall war. But if we believe that everything's taken care of, and well, you know, Musk is over there and he's rich, he's powerful, he's okay, that's a lie, ladies and gentlemen. And then at another level, the globalists, after Trump 8 years ago, openly said in thousands of news articles and TV programs that I was the big enemy. Because we did have the biggest English-speaking audience, not just news, but period, in the world at that time. Bigger than Rogan's ever been. And I'm
always likes to toot his own horn. Just the insecurity and the unhinged personality of this guy.
in competition with Rogan. It was recognized, billions of views on YouTube and other platforms and Facebook a month of my show alone. And my reporters, Owen was getting hundreds of millions of views a day. Paul Watson. And we were growing and hiring more reporters and building the InfoWars network. And then they came in and took us off everything except talk radio and sued me and had rigged court cases. But because of your support,
and you caved on the SH thing in Connecticut when you should have stuck to your guns. All you had to do was say, hey, I'm reporting what I see. You're reporting what you see. Here's my problem. You bring your evidence to the table. I'll bring my evidence to the table and we'll talk about it. But I ain't giving 2 inches because this is what I believe based on my research. That's all you had to say. That's it. Not I had a psychotic episode and I don't know what was going on. Of course it was real. Oh, everything that I said was just completely fabricated.
We hung on. We stayed on air. So my fate is tied to Musk. His fate is tied to mine. His fate is tied to you. We're all tied to Trump. This is a real revolution. But
do you know people say that who are in a cult? Do you know people who still follow Obama still say that? I'm tied to Obama. He's tied to us. He's tied to the whole system. We got to stick together. Everybody says that about their guy when they're drinking their guy's Kool-Aid, when they bought the ticket for their guy's cult of personality. This is a glazed over look. Wait till you see the criticism he has of Donald Trump.
It takes support. It takes money to do it. That's why, as a symbol of this, we went and bought the most awesome Cybertruck, had it wrapped in 1776, the Alex Jones edition, and are going to raffle this off for a lucky winner coming up next month at the AlexJonesStore.com. Now, will getting this truck and raffling it off save the world? No. But all of us doing, for me, you know, a big thing, for Musk, a small thing, for a lot of you, a big thing, all of this adds up. All these little things and middle-sized things and big things add up.
So here he is playing car dealership for Elon Musk. And I want to show you the criticism that he has right here of Donald Trump, which is pretty interesting because he calls this a significant development.
Back in 2013, I told that red coat globalist that was trying to take our guns, Piers Morgan, that if you try to take our firearms, 1776 will commence again. Well, now I've got to tell President Trump, if you try to put King Charles as the head of the U.S. government, ahead of the American people and our president, 1776 will commence again. When I learned this information earlier today, it was like a punch in the stomach. I couldn't even believe it. So I went and researched it, and it's true. And I've always promised viewers and listeners, I love Trump, overall love what he's doing, but sometimes he does just the most terrible things.
So wait till you hear what he says that Trump did, and he's going to continue to support Trump in spite of it. When he would have decoupled from, you know, let's say he was following Obama, which, you know, I never see that happening, but Obama or Biden or anybody, he would have quickly just disavowed them, stopped supporting them, spoke against them, continued to expose them, but not Trump. So just ask yourself, while you listen to Alex Jones speak, what exactly would Trump have to do? How much evil would he have to be engaged in? What kind of evidence would you have to see to go, holy cow? If it wasn't enough that he is owned, bought and paid for by Elon Musk, by Miriam Adelson, by Israel, by AIPAC, if that wasn't enough right there, that he's laying cover for the Zio International Banking Cartel and the IRS and doing nothing about the income tax. Not that he could anyway, but he can make a good faith effort. If that's not enough, what exactly would he have to do? Being the warmonger that Alex Jones knows Donald Trump is, how many people would Donald Trump have to actually blow apart for him to withdraw his support from Trump? It really makes you question.
It's true. So we've all been wondering the last 3 or 4 days what this secret message, the King of England, the globalist, Mr. Great Reset, Mr. Carbon Tax,
Mr. Great Reset, Mr. Carbon Tax. Mr. Carbon Tax would be globalist Elon Musk, but I see no evil, I hear no evil, he speaks no evil.
Charles coming to visit Trump next week, what secret message he was going to be delivering from the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. It's hard to match King Charles's corruption and evil, but Starmer actually does it, may even surpass him. I'll get to that in a moment. Trump has openly said and posted on Truth Social that the word is they're going to offer entrance of the United States of America into the UK British Crown Commonwealth, with 50 plus other countries like Canada, New Zealand, Australia, British Virgin Islands, the list goes on and on. Now, you have to understand, they always advertise this, being associate member, oh, it's just ceremonial. No, it's not. Whenever Trudeau just canceled Parliament so he could stay in office a few more months and bring in Carney, the former head of the Bank of England, the head UN climate envoy, he invoked the King of England and the Charter and the Governor General Charter, and it dissolved Parliament. So these so-called commonwealths that are independent, they're not independent. That's why they're all under censorship and control. And the UK is one of the most corrupt, evil governments now on earth. Not to mention King Charles's brother and Epstein, and then the King and Jimmy Savile and all the pedophilia. I mean, it's just beyond disgusting. There's no real Trump-Epstein connections other than they live in the same area and he came to Mar-a-Lago with some and Trump kicked him out. They're both socialites. But there are connections between the King of England and his family and Epstein, heavy ones, and other pedophiles. So Trump saying he loves King Charles and all this, it just turns my stomach. But let's be clear why the UK is doing this, okay? At the end of World War II, they set up the OECD for the Marshall Plan, this big global corporation that the central banks are part of, including the United States, but mainly the Rothschilds and the Bank of England and others. Then they set up the UN, they set up NATO, they set up the CIA. It's all part of the same big corporate globalist British East India Company 2.0 or Dutch East India Company. That's actually what these come out of, and what Skull and Bones comes out of is that model, a corporate global government backed by the British Empire. But the British Empire started World War I, won the war, but it was Pyrrhic. That made their empire start falling apart. Winston Churchill wrote about this in his 3-volume set, History of the British-Speaking Peoples. He was half American and a British royal. They started the process of really, after World War I, merging back with the United States and set up the CFR at Pratt House in New York to do that. This is all part of mainline history. Just
that's Council on Foreign Relations.
The average person doesn't know it. But since then, you see tabloids since I was a kid in the grocery stores, all about the royals and how cool they are and, oh, the UK. We fought a revolution against them. That's what July 4th is. That's what George Washington is all about. Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Franklin, Patrick Henry, Sam Adams. I know most people still remember that. And it's been the whole globalist left trying to denigrate the founding fathers and take a knee during the Star Spangled Banner and take down statues of the founding fathers like Thomas Jefferson that wrote the Declaration of Independence and much the Constitution and much the Bill of Rights. So this is an assault on the very identity of our country. And joining this British Commonwealth does not just mean it's honorary. So this would be Trump going against the very foundations and the very meaning of the American Revolution and who we are.
So, again, this is Trump going against the very foundation, against the founding fathers, against the revolutionary, against what it was all about, against freedom, against the tree of liberty itself. That's what Alex Jones is saying. That's what he's at least taking this as, but he's still going to support a guy who's going to do something no better than what Obama and Biden and the Clintons have done. That is utter hypocrisy.
And as I've explained for years and shown you, and it even came out big time last week with more proof, the UK has been working with the CIA and propaganda and getting USAID money and EPA money and other money for 50, 60 years to directly come back and attack American populists and patriots and conservatives and Christians. And if you look at the UK, opening up themselves up to the world, arresting people for their speech, arresting people that quietly pray 100 yards from an abortion clinic. I mean, the UK is tyranny.
Or how about arresting people who protest against Israel bombing Gaza? How about that? Deporting people who say things against Israel.
Par excellence. Okay, and it's the pedophile command base. It's even mainstream news here that the government's basically pedophile.
And Trump is welcoming this, and you're still supporting Trump.
Keir Starmer, 15 years as the head of the CPS, didn't prosecute one pedophile, protected just mass rape gangs, mass grooming gangs, covered up just hellish stuff. And it's been Keir Starmer signed the secret minerals deal with the...
Has Trump prosecuted any high-level PDF files? Nope, don't think so.
Ukrainians and setting up the Northern group out of NATO to try to thwart Trump. So the idea of joining the collapsed British Empire, because it's nothing without us, and Churchill said that at the end of World War II. So that was the special relationship in the deal. No official treaties other than the spying, sharing intelligence. So the EU's fallen apart. China is now isolated. The EU and China are trying to get together. And in this announcement, Keir Starmer and others are saying, oh, we'll help you fend off China. We'll help you if you're in our alliance. So Trump knows the old order post-World War II is falling apart. It's been there for 80 years. Bretton Woods III's here. He's doing all the right moves for industry, jobs, the dollar, stability, the future, our sovereignty, our culture, stopping the demoralization. All that's great.
Just real quick, just in case you don't know, Bretton Woods from 1944 established the world reserve currency as the U.S. dollar, pegged to $35 an ounce gold. We reneged on that August 15th, 1971. Nixon closed the gold window because people are like, wait a second, how are you able to afford all these armaments and all these munitions for the Vietnam War? What are you doing with the U.S. dollar? You must be inflating it to some extent. So, Charles de Gaulle from France sent the ships across the Atlantic to go get his gold. All the other nations were a little concerned about the gold, and they wanted to come get theirs. And that's when Nixon goes, we got to stop the international speculators. They detached the dollar from precious metals on August 15th. So the Bretton Woods that he was just talking about was the establishment of the world reserve currency. Now he's talking about Bretton Woods 3.0.
Or the new American system, not an empire, but soft power, 1776, and economic power. That's what the world wanted. That's what the world admired. That's why we were the apple of the planet's eye. The greatest, most successful innovative nation in history, because we got away from the British and away from the monarchies and away from the European centralization and combines and kind of crony mercantile systems. And so it's smart to not be part of NATO's war with Russia if they need to justify their existence. It's smart to pull out of the globalist UN. It's not that these institutions have become corrupt. They were all set up post-World War II to set up this global corporate order. But the Chi-Coms 15 years ago double-crossed the globalists. They were only supposed to be the dominant producers and rare earth mineral controllers and use the globalists as middlemen. They weren't supposed to expand militarily anywhere, including the South China Sea. They'd expand everywhere. So the globalists got double-crossed and fell apart in the last 15 years. Now the EU is falling apart, so they want a war to have their existence and take the rest of Eastern Europe. And they talk about breaking Russia up in 5 parts. The deputy head of the unelected EU Commission a month ago. That will be their business model. That's their business model to not collapse. They need to innovate. They need to become free. We need to lower tariffs. We need to get rid of tariffs. We need to really, be open and free. But no. So,
yeah, Trump's not doing that. He's doing the exact opposite. But Alex Jones still supports him.
This is the old order dying, and they're trying to do this offer, I guess, to try to come into the U.S. empire and continue us to be a British empire. And it's more of what we saw for World War I and World War II, but official. So the idea that this is just ceremonial, in all the other Commonwealth agreements, it's not, unless they have some new one. And I mean, we already have defense alliances with the UK and Australia and New Zealand against China, so this isn't needed. I know the ins and outs of this, up one side, down the other. There is no reason to do this. And the UK, again, spies the American people just like Israel. They use pedophilia for control, just like Israel, just like the EU does. They're desperately corrupt. And this is just a continuation of the old system. And so Trump is usually very nice, though, when somebody kisses his ass like King Charles or somebody. Oh, maybe we want you to join our alliance. Oh, sure, I'm open to that. And then he trolls them. And I'm expecting that is what this is.
Always making an excuse for Donald Trump. He could do the worst evil, and it's like, there must be something here that I'm not understanding. I must not have a technical idea of how exactly he's working this 13,000D chess move, so I'll just go ahead and continue to trust the plan.
But if this is not that, and the headline from the left is correct, which of course it generally isn't, the New Republic, is Trump trying to undo the American Revolution? Yeah, we joined the Commonwealth under the king, and he's the head of the Commonwealth. That's the King of England over America. Then absolutely. Trump suggests U.S. could be associate member of British Commonwealth. I love King Charles. Now then you've got Nigel Farage, who always acted really good, but now says, we're not a Christian nation in the UK, and we need to go ahead and accept more.
I'm not going to play all this. I just wanted to show you that there are people out there who will support Trump no matter what he does. Trust the plan. He's got the inroads. We may not know everything he's doing. We may not have a firm understanding, and we may completely be in the dark, but just give Donald Trump the keys to the Corvette. It'll be all right. Nothing could possibly go wrong. So leave your thoughts about this. What do you think about what Alex Jones says right here? What do you think about him playing used car salesman or Cybertruck car salesman for Globalist, UBI, carbon tax, Mr. Neuralink, Elon Musk, Patsy? Basically, it almost seems like Alex Jones has been bought and paid for by Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Leave your thoughts about this. The only way this channel can grow is if you like this video, if you share this video, if you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon. I will see you in the next video.